Everyone wants to be king of the mountain, but becoming so here is a little more involved than simply climbing to the top and planting your flag. Bathurst's need for dedication, practice, and expertise is surpassed by few tracks around the world. Which of our drivers can manage to rise to that level today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Peter Mackay. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This Australian circuit has been challenging drivers for many decades now. To learn more about it, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrod Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Brock's Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest's Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today. Peter, this place has built quite a reputation, and honestly, just one look at it kind of tells you why.
Indeed, it's a properly special place here at Mount Panorama. I mean, known in the real world mainly for racing with a roof over your head. So to go here in any open top car is pretty gutsy. But in these Lotus 79 with their ground effect aerodynamics, this is going to be a real thrill ride for our drivers, particularly up over the mountain section. Not an area where you can overtake, really, virtually from Quarry Bend at turn 2 all the way down to the chase at the very near end of the lap. You're basically all one line, so the drivers have just got to try and do their best through that part. But there's great overtaking opportunities into Quarry Bend and also into the chase. So watch out for those in the race today. But it's a completely unique challenge, and going over the mountain, it's just a white knuckle ride.
Indeed, and this championship as well has been a bit of a ride. If we take a look at that, Shimon not showing up last week means that guys like Frisha and Seppa have closed in on him. And you got Steve Bycroft and Martin Granberg rounding out your top 5. It's been very unusual because Scotty Rinna, who's also just took a win for the first time this season, has been quick, but unfortunately has missed a lot of races, which is why you see him where he is. In the meantime, of course, let's take a look at the Teams Championship as well, which is hot in the works throughout the season.
So at the moment, leading by a very slender margin of just 2 points, it's John Player Team Lotus. Of course, the livery that adorned the Lotus 79 when it hit the scene in 1978 with Mario Andretti going to the World Championship. Equipe Renault Elf are just those 2 points behind, with Scuderia Ferrari in third, Marlboro Team McLaren in fourth, and the Shadow Racing Team in fifth.
And then for today's race details, we certainly have a bit of a run around here. 23 laps won't sound like a whole bunch, but remember, it takes more than 2 minutes just to cycle around this place. It is an open setup series, and they will have incident points that can accrue and give them a drive-through penalty and a disqualification. But there's so many close barriers around this place, not sure that we'll see many that manage to get up to that drive-through penalty at all. We're waiting for the first times to come around here in the qualifying. So drivers who are looking to get some of the first ones through there look to be the number 4, Scotty Rinna, who is back once again. Going to try and see if he can go back-to-back wins now that he's got one on the board.
Yeah, we see Scotty Rinna here in the Fly Saudi Airlines Williams of the early to mid-1980s. Down towards the chase. I mean, when you're absolutely at the very reach of top gear there, you lean on the brakes hard, and then flick it into the chase, left, then right, then down the hill to Murray's. And who would have thought that this exotic venue here at Mount Panorama, Joe, would have something in common with Snetterton? They both got a last corner called Murray's. Exactly.
Rinna is going to put in the first time at a 150 flat. Martin Granberg gets within about a second. And then Nicola Kochi is looking for it at a 150.7, half a second now. Still waiting for guys like Freesia to put a time down, Bycroft, who are all very quick. Still quite a gap up at the front. Tomasz Simon as well is just now getting on to the Conrad straight. We're watching from Freesia's perspective as he swings it through the chase.
Yep, of course, Gernot's been consistently driving this season and consistently showing every week, just logging the points, and he's right there in this championship, running the number 1 plate today. Now, that doesn't mean he is the defending champion, that means he is the number 1 seed in this race, so he has the highest iRacing ranking based on his results over his iRacing career. For any golfers watching, a bit like a handicap. If you have a good score, your handicap goes down. If you have a bad score, your handicap goes up.
And Simone is able to topple Rinna by 0.08 of a second. Rinna does have a chance to respond as he's on his second lap, but now we finally got a fight on our hands for this pole position, which is worth 2 bonus points, so it is valuable to the championship.
It's worth 2 bonus points, and it's vitally important because you really want that inside line heading into Hell Corner, turn 1, because I think today, Joe, of all times, track position is going to be absolutely vital because there's such a large proportion of the circuit here where there's no opportunity to pass.
Watching Rinna as he comes out of Murray's corner. Let's see if this one's quicker. It is. A 49.7 is going to take the pole position back. Simone now has to make up a 1/4 of a second.
Let's see what Severi Seppa can do. He comes over the line 150.966, only 7th for Severi. David Serrois goes 8th. What can Manu Ray Largo do? A bit of a wild card for today, not a regular in the series. So let's see what Manu can do. He goes to 6th, so very interesting to see what the Spaniard driver can do. Let's get Michael de Turk over. Will he be close, or will he have a Vilja-Kiel cigar?
Nope, he unfortunately doesn't improve. Bycroft does, though. That gets him into 3rd with a 50.6. What about Freesia? He's already been bumped down to 7th with his 50.9. Is it any better? It is. 0.3 quicker. And that will jump him onto the 2nd row and 4th.
That's massive for Gernot Freesia. Going from the 4th row to the 2nd row, really, really important to get further forward here at Bathurst. As we see down the dipper. Oh, well, that's where ground effect's not going to help you. If you're off the ground, it doesn't really work, does it, Joe?
No, and I just noticed that Tomasz Simon has abandoned his lap. I'm trying to see if he actually wrecked it or if he just wasn't happy with it. Yeah, I don't see any sort of contact with the wall, so he just parked it as Joseph Mudrat comes around, currently last of our top split to put a time in. We do have 2 splits today, so this is the better of our many drivers that have taken part. I think we are close to 50 that have signed up today. As he comes through the chase in that number 13. And one other driver is yet to set a time. That's Bustamante. Well, I see Alcad currently not on the track, though, and that would be our 24th driver who unfortunately seems to have not managed to put one in. Mudrack, though, at 53.6, only a mild improvement, so that's not going to move him up the timing sheets.
You see Ovi Trengarade here, one of our regulars in the Lotus 49 series, the Grand Prix Legends, on every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern here on the Global SimRacing Channel. He goes a little bit quicker, does Ovi, so sitting 15th right now. And of course, classic motorsport, a bit of a speciality here at the Global SimRacing Channel, Joe.
Indeed, and here at GSRC, we pride ourselves in our vintage racing coverage. If you're watching this right now, we'd like to assume that that's the sort of content that's up your alley. So keep an eye out, because we'll have an announcement coming up soon. A special event will be happening next Friday that we're sure you won't want to miss. Formal announcement will be coming Monday, so tune in tomorrow to our social media outlets as we finally reveal what we are up to. Meanwhile, let's go through our starting grid. Ascari Rina starts on the pole with Tomas Simon in second, and Steve Bycroft starts P3. Gernot Friesche up to fourth today with Nicola Kochi in P5 and Martin Granberg on the outside of row 3 and 6. Manu Rayo Largo puts it into seventh with Severi Seppa in eighth and Jukka Tolonen in ninth. David Serrois rounds out our top 10.
Starting on the sixth row of the grid here today at Mount Panorama is Javier Sanchez and Michael de Turk. Row 7 sees Dennis Schanig and Andreas Henkel. Row 8 will be Ovi Trengrade and Dustin Galland. Row 9 will be Timothy Reed and Alex Tapiavico. And rounding out row 10 is Peter Konecki and John Stevens.
Last two to put a time in are Parigi and Mudrack, then Bustamante and Alcade. Unfortunately, going to line up in 23rd and 24th at the back of the grid. It is a bit dark out right now with the cloud cover, but pretty good track conditions at 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So hopefully grip won't be too much of a problem today. Just waiting for just two more of our drivers to line up. Then we go running for 23 laps today for round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And this should be an important race. It's late in the season, and it's a difficult track just to finish on. So who is going to try and just limp it to the end, and who will push hard to take the checkered flag as the lights come up? The green flag is out. Rinna not looking that great off the start. Already Simone is challenging him around the outside as they come up to Hell Corner. Can he manage to get the launch? It's going to be a drag race up Mountain Straight, and Tomas Simone has a little bit more momentum. He's going to have the inside into Griffin's Bend as they come up the hill, but they're both towing along Gernot Friesche. He thinks about 3 wide, then thinks twice about it. He checks up as he watches to see how this one's going to play out, and Rinna is going to come out ahead despite being on the outside.
And of course, we know that Tomas Simone and Ascari Rina are proper rivals, so they're going to race hard for this win here today at Mount Panorama. And what a sight that is. This stream of nearly 30 Lotus 79 machines just flying through onto the mountain section. Look at the speed they can use. They're using all of that ground effect aerodynamics and winding up those Cosworth DFV engines. Oh, that's a sight to behold.
And everybody up to the hill, at least safely to this point. Now, can they get down safely as they plunge over Skyline into the S's and through the Dipper? Rinna still leads ahead of Simone with Friesche behind. Then they start to get closer together. Kochi and Granberg fighting for 4th place, and Bycroft and Olargo fighting for 6th.
Fantastic camera angle there from Dougie Beard and our producer Sean Ambrose. Really get a great impression of the cars and how it's just like falling off the end of a cliff when you come down the Dipper and towards Forest Elbow. Onto Conrod Straight they go, known as such, I would imagine, because quite a lot of Conrods have made their way through the front hood on that particular stretch of tarmac. Such is the demand on the engine there.
Rinna is going to lead the first lap back around despite being challenged in the early part of the lap. So Simone's going to have to try again a little bit later. Still, it's a tight fight for that 3rd position. Friesche still has the Italian hot on his heels as we watch them come around Hell Corner. It's going to be a big tow for the number 7 up the hill.
Yeah, we'll get a bit of an impression here how much that tow is going to affect our drivers today. Of course, the setup here in the Lotus 79 series is completely open, so the drivers can tune their car exactly how they wish. And being a Grand Prix car in an era where really development was quicker than most times in history, to be honest, therefore the amount of adjustment means that you can really set the car up quite differently. But of course, there's two very distinct sections of the circuit here, Joe. Of course, you've got the mountain straight going up the hill, and you've got Conrod straight going down the hill. That would be where you would need, well, basically a Le Mans setup. But over the mountain, you really want a car that's as tied down as possible. So getting that balance is going to be really tricky. And sometimes you see drivers who've got it set up for the mountain, and some who've got it set up for the straights.
And series past, we've heard many drivers go back and forth on which one they prefer. Seems like it's all down to what you are comfortable with and what can give you the speed. Meanwhile, as they come down Conrod, Kochi's still not able to challenge, but keeping within half a second of the multi-time champion. So we watch them all start to pick up speed. I'm seeing if anybody's able to get a challenge, but it seems like because of the length of this race and the difficulty around here, most are just kind of settling in.
Yeah, I mean, 23 laps around Mount Panorama is a heck of a distance. That is just such a demand on concentration. You cannot afford even the preamble of a mistake. It's because this place will bite you, and it will bite you hard. Now, 151.498 for Oscari Rinna. Of course, we saw the 150 barrier just broken in qualifying, but watch out for that being broken later in the race, because these cars burn off fuel at an extraordinary rate. Therefore, they get lighter and lighter over the race. But tell you what, Oscari Rinna and Tomas Simone have really been in their own world this particular championship. But Rinna, he's wasting no time, Joe.
And that's Seppa taking P8 away from, it's Tolanen taking P8 away from Seppa, rather. Switch that around as they hit the mountain, so not much chance for Seppa to try and retort here. And remember, Seppa is one of the ones in the fight for the championship. He sits in third in points, so for him being down in ninth right now, this is really not the position he wants to be in. He's going to have to start making up spots if he wants to stay in the hunt.
And that is the thing, of course, the very Seppa, who said, Joe, he can't afford to be there, but you also can't afford a non-finish either, and that's so easy to do. You've really got to take your time here at this particular circuit. It's a completely unique challenge. You almost have to let the drivers in front of you make the mistakes. Just run whatever pace you're comfortable with, not take unnecessary risks. Certainly not at this point in the race where we're only just over 3 laps in. So I think we will see the drivers just settling in, taking it easy to begin with, and then winding up the pace as the race progresses.
Side by side down into the chase, and Olargo goes a little too deep. He's off into the grass. A valiant attempt is not going to net him the spot over Granberg. Instead, it's going to allow Tolanen to get one more position in. Oh, and who's that going in? That's Granberg. Granberg is ducking into the pits. What happened here?
Now, I wonder, it's a guess. I don't see any damage there, Joe. I wonder if he's forgot to put fuel in after qualifying, because he's done 3 laps and that car is going really slow. So, Granberg, of course, he's been sort of thereabouts in the championship throughout the season, and I've done that myself once or twice, and you just feel like, you feel pretty silly. There's no other word to describe it.
And unfortunately, your own crew chief in a lot of cases here on iRacing as we watch this fight with Tolanen, Olargo, and Seppa still very tight together. And they're bringing in both Serrois and de Turk, essentially a 5-car train for what is the 6th position, rather.
Yeah, and of course, the overtaking opportunities are so limited here that if you get a car that's just slightly behind on pace, you can really bottle up a lot of cars, and of course that brings risks with it itself. Kind of becomes the world's fastest safety car at that point, which is never so good. They say cautions breed cautions, and what a great shot there from the top of the engine cover there on Manoray Largo's machine, and you just see the sheer drop, and wow. Just boggles the mind. Onto Conrod straight we go again. Let's have a look and see what the speed differences are and see if there's much of a draft effect. Now, interestingly there, Joe, looks like Jukka Tolanen has got that car just that little bit more drafty, that little bit more trimmed out, a little bit less downforce, because Manoray Largo is not actually able to run the same top speed there, even though he's in the slipstream.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I would have expected him to gain at least a little bit, but nothing doing, unfortunately, for the number 3 as they come out of Murray's Bend one more time. He gets another bite at it. Let's see if he can get the launch this time. Out of hell, the Renault leading him, Jukka Tolinen, going to try and also launch this car as well as possible. We hop on board looking through the helmet cam of Manu Ray Olargo, and yet again, I don't see it gaining.
Yeah, Jukka Tolinen's definitely got that car absolutely trimmed out, and I'm sure we'll see as we go through the mountain section here, Manu Ray Olargo starting to climb all over the gearbox of Tolinen's car. But of course, Joe, virtually is so narrow that there isn't a space unless something very strange happens. You can see just how loose Tolinen's car is there. That Renault Elf machine, they're really slipping and sliding around, but as long as he doesn't put it in the wall, he can almost go around at whatever speed he pleases here, because there's just no space to get by.
Well, Largo's almost on top of that gearbox, but like you said, he's not even willing to poke his nose out at this point. He's just been following in the tire tracks of that number 15. Now, something that we missed ahead of them is Kochi slowed down for some reason and let Bycroft by into the chase. I'm not sure why. But that has allowed Bycroft up into 4th, and Kochi falls down to 5th. Maybe he just feels better chasing rather than leading today. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Oh, and I think that Olargo is much closer this time. Conrad, is this going to finally do it? He still is stuck behind and is not really pulling him in as quickly as you would anticipate. Tolinen leads the way into the chase, deep on the brakes though, and the 3 almost has to get out of it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Olargo could not get any closer coming out of Forest Elbow, otherwise he'd be hitting the back of Tolinen. Tolinen has got that car properly trimmed back, so he's risking it over the mountain to have a really raceable car on the straights to avoid being pipped, and as long as he can get out of here safe, he's fine. All the way up to Quarry Bend here, which has got that. I always say Quarry Bend's the wall on the outside there. It's got magnets in it because it's so off camber that it's easy to just plow it into the wall there and just make the slightest mistake on the brakes. And Tolan, you can really see that car moving around at the rear. Now we've got sparks in the foreshot there, so somebody had a little rub with the wall or running the car a little bit low, but. I think this is an absolute masterpiece of strategy from Tolinen here. But
we've had a big wreck. We've had a big wreck. This involves Konecki and Parigi down towards the bottom of the field. I think a 3rd car as well. It looks like John Stevens, unfortunately.
Precarious position as well there. He won't be anybody's pedigree chum sitting on the racing line there, that's for sure.
Let's take a look at the replay and see what kicked this one off. I think Stevens is going to get a touch from Parigi. This will happen into Griffin's, and then unfortunately for Peter, he's just going to be kind of stuck behind them and have no way to escape. You can see him in the yellow car following the pair of them, and the red car is Parigi. He's going to give a big touch to the back of that dark-colored car, or no, it's going to be the other way around. Excuse me.
Goodness.
And Peter as well looks like he made contact before they even hit the braking zone. So that all unfolded. Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't normally, a pretty clumsy one at this level, I think, would be maybe more accurate. I mean, you don't see that very often in this type of racing. Of course, you need to have a very, very high ranking to even get a spot in the grid for this race here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And if you ever wanted to see what the limited edition Lotus 79 Domino's set looked like, there you go, there it was.
Not the way they wanted to play games today, as we hop on board with Simone, who I believe holds the fastest lap of the race right now. So he's bringing it back to Rinna, trying to see if he can challenge him. He's keeping it right at about 0.8 of a second. It's been stuck at this distance for a few laps now here, and we've still got more than half the race to go. So he's keeping him in check, but it doesn't seem like he's close enough to really make him sweat at this point.
Yeah, this you're absolutely right. Rinna will not be sweating right now. He will if that gap cuts in half, that's for sure. But I thought when you said there 8/10, I was like, he's driving at 8/10. I was like, looks like all 10 to me.
Yeah, no, I think these two are absolutely pushing. Meanwhile, at the front of this train, Tolinen still holding off Olargo, Seppa, Serwa, and De Turk. David, I think, has since overtaken De Turk since we last looked, so bumped the number 6 into P9. And yet again, Olargo, he is only like 2 or 3 car lengths back from the number 15. I can't believe that Tolinen is running this quickly, unless maybe Manu is simply holding back a little bit and maybe waiting patiently. He does look very strong on the brakes yet again down into the chase.
Yeah, that's one thing where having that higher downforce setup will really help you on the brakes, but Tolinen just knows. I think this is really smart from Tolinen because he just knows where his car is strong and where he just needs to defend, where he knows he's got to sacrifice. And really, I mean, look at this. Ray Largo cannot get any closer. It's impossible. And then he just has to watch Tolinen pull away. It's quite ironic that it's obviously that all these cars are identical, the Lotus 79 with a Cosworth DFE engine, but running a Renault livery. Not often you see a Renault engine pulling away at this way.
Ooh, that time he was pulling enough that it seemed Tolinen went defensive slightly, and Olargo definitely took a look, but once again out of Griffins, they head up the hill with no way to go side by side. By the way, Rinna set the fastest lap that time, and the first driver to break under the 151s.
Wow, that's very impressive at this stage of the race. Still on quite a high fuel load. I mean, you really, for a 23-lap race here, you need a lot of fuel for these cars. So that's mega pace from Ascari Rinna. All of a sudden, 8/10 becomes 2 seconds. That gap back to Thomas Simon, and wow, amazing stuff, absolutely amazing. But Gernot Fritzsche still there in third, and pretty comfortable in third right now, Joe. And if the same pattern, we've only got 4 weeks to go after this round. 5 weeks to go after. Oh no, yes, 4 weeks to go after this round. No, definitely not. 4 weeks to go after this round, and. You know, if the same pattern appears where Ascari Rinna and Thomas Simon only turn up on select rounds, Gernot's still in this championship.
Oh, Rinna had a problem. Rinna is out of the lead, and he's down to 4th. I think this happened in the chase just now. Yes, indeed, an unforced error from the number 4. Clipping the curb coming out of the chase. He spins around, actually smacks the wall. Hopefully that suspension is not too damaged. He does get it going, but let's watch one more time from on board.
Well, we said that he's... Oh, my word, yeah. Just running a little bit wide, trying to use all the exit room to try and maximise the speed, maximise the lap time benefit, and over the bump, and that car is bent. There is front wing damage, there's rear wing damage, there might well be steering damage as well, and oh, the mountain, she is a cruel mistress, and she had bitten Ascari Rinna very, very hard there, and Thomas Simon, well, he probably would have nearly crashed himself for could not believe his luck there, because, well, Ascari Rinna was really laying down the hammer and was running away with that race, and it's just flipped on its head.
Certainly has. Now here's the stunning stat in all of this. Simon now back up to the lead, and with about 4 seconds over Gernot Fritzsche. If he wins another one, that'll mean of the races he showed up to, he has only lost once, and that would be Silverstone. But he still has laps to go, and he's got to complete that before we can hand that to him. He still is 4 for 5 right now, but he could go 5 for 6 here today, as he's certainly looking handy for it.
Yep, he certainly is, running that beautiful mid-1970s Ferrari livery, made so famous by Niki Lauda and Gilles Villeneuve. I think he's actually running Gilles' name on the side of the car there, and certainly driving like Gilles as well. Oh, yeah, proper Gilles Villeneuve slide there as well. Brilliant.
Certainly hanging it out here, as that smoke, I think, is from someone in pit lane after blowing an engine, so I don't need to worry about that. Meanwhile, coming back to that train once again, they are splitting up. It's becoming 2 groups, with Tolinen and Olargo stretching away from the likes of Seppa, Serwa, and De Turk onto the mountain straight one more time. De Turk trying to get the launch on David. The 6 just drifting it over to the racing line. Doesn't seem too concerned at this moment.
Yeah, and it's quite good for Olargo as well, because well, whatever he's giving away on the mountain behind Tolanen, he's kind of getting it back by being in Tolanen's draft on the two straightaways on the mountain. Oh, that was a big slide beginning there, but hopefully kept it out the wall for Duterte, it was. But look at Tolanen's gone. Look at it, he's gone. There's a good second and a bit there. Olargo and about a second between them. So Olargo's made a mistake somewhere.
Interesting. I also wonder if I'm watching it and I'm not seeing anything significant. Almost just looks like the car starts to lose pace this lap. I wonder if maybe it's the dirty air from Tolanen in front. Maybe it's taking its toll on the tires.
Yeah, it could be. Of course, it could. Why don't we have a look at the weather and see what the track temperatures are like? Because the track temperature's okay, 27 degrees centigrade in European money. So yeah, that's pretty much ideal. But yeah, it's running at 81 degrees Fahrenheit for our stateside viewers. Well, that's an interesting one. Maybe Olargo deciding just to back off, have another go at it, let the tyres cool off, and then have another push. I don't know. It just could be maybe the last laps are very, very similar. Let's see what they are when they come over the line here. 152.2 for Jukka Tolanen, 152.3 for Leo Largo. That's bizarre.
It was only a tenth slower, so it wasn't significant, but coming up the hill, I went back and looked, and he just started to bleed a little bit of time away, and I didn't see anything super significant. And that kind of takes away one of the questions I was going to ask, which is, will Olargo, if he's not able to get by soon, maybe start to take some more desperate dives along the top of the hill? Now he can't even do that.
No, I think he would be foolish to do so, because there is just no room to pass on the mountain. And when some people say, "Oh, you can always make a move," it's just impossible, especially on an open wheel car where you can maybe in a tin top or a touring car where you can scratch a bit of sheet metal on the way through, maybe, but not in these cars, mind you. Of course, back in 2019, Matt Campbell at this corner here, the Dipper, overtook an Aston Martin to win the Bathurst 12-hour in a Porsche, and I don't think you'll ever see it again, someone overtaking at that spot, because you look at it and you just think there's just not room. How did he do that?
I think the way to retort if someone trying to tell you that you can pass there is it's your funeral. So, meanwhile, up at second place, Freesia has been gaining on Simone a little bit, but more than that, Bycroft is gaining on Gernot now. It's down to half a second. We're going to watch from Steve's perspective. He's close enough. He's going to pick up the toe as there's a lot of wheel spin coming off of Gernot through Murray's.
Yep, this is not good news for Gernot Freesia. He's got a determined Steve Bycroft all over the back here, and we'll see how they go on the speed. So we get brilliant look here. You can see how they compare on the screen in front of you. Steve Bycroft really getting the overspeed now in the draft. So we'll need to watch when they get back over the mountain, Joe, if Bycroft's able to get a draft on Gernot Freesia and get a run down into the chase.
Exactly. So as they now come up the hill and work their way towards the top, Freesia still holding him at bay. We watch from on board, looking past that Cosworth engine. And I mentioned before, by the way, that he had been gaining on Shimon. It was up to almost 5 seconds, and it's down to 3.5. Now, can't tell if that is Tomasz just simply checking up a little bit and managing the gap, or if they really are running down the number 5. I love this onboard view up and over the mountain. This is perhaps the best perspective to show how scary it is running this course.
Yeah, it requires full commitment. I tell you what, Gernot Freesia is absolutely superb there over the mountain. Really opened up quite a bit of a gap there on Bycroft, but here we go now. Also the gearing quite important as well, Joe, because that might be another factor in the Tolanen and Olargo battle. Of course, so you can adjust the gearing in these cars very, very finely. So some drivers prefer a bit more acceleration and sacrifice top speed, and others prefer the other way around, making sure they've just got that last few revs in the very big part of the draft heading down to the chase and such. So Be interesting to see how that one plays out as well as the race progresses. We've just gone past half distance.
Hard to take our eyes off of this, too, because Bycroft keeps getting tantalizingly close. We do have some other battles that have been quite tight. We've looked at some of them, like Tolan and Olargo, but it's still exactly where it was. And Manu is still actually quite tight to the back of him, so I wonder, is this going to be enough of a run? Look at Tolanen. He stays defensive this time. He's trying to cover him off, but he's actually still pulling away slightly as they run, so he won't have to stay defensive for long, and he holds on to that 6th position behind them. Also keep half an eye on Serwa and De Turk for 9th, as that is still split by only 0.2 of a second.
Oh, big puff of smoke there from Olargo's front tyre. A lock-up there heading into the cutting and very nearly runs into the back of Tolanen. So this must be really frustrating for Manu Ray Olargo. Just Tolanen driving a superb race, and he definitely will have a loose race car. We've seen it moving around a lot, and he's handling it beautifully. But we know these Finns, don't we, Joe? They don't mind a car that moves around. They don't mind it on the loose.
Certainly not. Oh, and speaking of Finns that don't mind it loose, Scotty Rinna is looking like he's going to overtake Nikola Kochi. So Kochi will have to hand that 4th place back down Conrad. He's going to fight it, though. Remember, a little bit of damage on Rinna. He starts to stall out now that he's jumped out of the slipstream. He dives to the inside. A very desperate move indeed from Ascari. And unfortunately, the number 4 is not going to be able to get past yet.
Was there a mild bit of contact there, Joe? Or am I needing contact lenses?
I think you might need contact lenses.
My apologies. It just seemed like there was a slight, strange little sort of flick to the left of Rinna's car there on the braking zone. But again, yes, must be upgrade my glasses to contact lenses.
I think he just kind of juked, trying to sell him a dummy. Meanwhile, Bycroft getting closer up the hill. This time he has a look, but still can't do anything with it. I can report that Rinna has not managed to overtake Kochi into the same corner. So those two stay in position. We're getting a few pairs starting to come together at this point. Basically, it seems like the slipstream is bringing together a number of fights, but hasn't really been able to offer a pass for any of them.
Well, Bycroft really close here. He's the 2nd fastest guy in this race. Only Oskari Rinna has gone quicker than Steve Bycroft so far, and he's really starting to get the hurry on now. Gernot Fritzsche not able to get the same advantage over the mountain, and if Bycroft can get a good run here out of Forest Elbow, there's a good chance he could make a move down into the chase, and all those those advertising boards just make me feel thirsty for a Cooper's Mild, which I presume is a beer.
Bycroft, just every time I look at him coming out of Forest Elbow, though, he loses all kinds of ground on Gernot Fritzsche. Meanwhile, Rinna, once again, is getting awful close, but he knows he's not going to have the straight line speed compared to Kochi. This time he pops to the inside a little bit earlier and goes deep on the brakes, tries not to run into him. That time there might have actually been contact, Peter.
Oh my goodness me. Let's have a look at this. We'll try and get a look on the in the chopper here. Nico Kochi there, he says, no you don't. Shut the door.
And
he's like, you're going to have to try a different one than that, pal.
And Rinna did get on the text chat and actually apologize to Kochi from that one. So I think he knew that there was contact as well between the pair of them. This is for 4th place. Remember, Rinna put this one on the pole. Should theoretically be the quickest car, but it seems that damage on the rear wing is just costing him too much. Olargo, in the meantime, is dealing with a car that is not the quickest, but maybe the quickest in a straight line. Jukka Tolanen just flustering Ray Olargo all race long, and he's now only got 9 laps to go to eventually get something to work.
And just the last comment there on Oskari Rinna, his car is looking less and less healthy. It really does not. It looked almost slightly out of alignment there on the straight as well. So it's not looking good at all for Oskari Rinna. And tell you what, lucky that wasn't a bigger tangle than it was there at the chase. And I think actually, as you said, Oskari had to actually back out of it as much as he possibly could to avoid there being a bigger touch than there was. But we'll get an idea here when they come down the straight if in the draft Rinne can get a bit of a run on Nicola Cocci in the Parmalat Brabham, the number 7 car there. No, he's struggling big time on the straight.
Yeah, I think he's too far back. Almost seems like he needs to time it just right so that he can get the toe and then use the momentum to get up alongside Nicola's number 7. In the meantime, as we watch these two, just an update for those wondering, we've had plenty of DNFs. No surprise that attrition has reared its ugly head here at Bathurst. Parigi, Stevens, Konecki, Shaney, Vico, Reed, and Bustamante are all out. We are down to 17 cars left running of 24 starters.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy attrition rate for at this level, but that's the mountain, that's Bathurst, that's what it's all about here. It's a challenge as much against the track as it is against your fellow competitors. Now, I think this is the closest we've seen Rio Largo on the mountain straight. He's right there. You cannot get any more in that bubble behind Tolanen's car, but he's got that aero setup perfect. He's got that gearing perfect as well, I think, as well, Joe.
Yeah, it's not something we talk about as much, but you're right. I wonder if the way he geared it is so that he can really launch off those corners and manage to keep from Largo getting the advantage that he needs in a straight line. Look at him just saw away at the wheel, and he gets very close. This is what I was talking about. He takes a tiny little look to the inside, seeing that he had the momentum, but then didn't dare attempt it. Big slide through McPhillamy Park. You don't come away from those very often.
Oh, well, there's the ground effect aerodynamics on this car, often referred to as the magic carpet, because that was basically the effect that it had at the time, and nobody else had it, and it just was so pinned down. But the thing about carpets is when you pull them from underneath you, you usually fall over, and that was exactly what happened there. Just as the car got loose and it broke away, my goodness me, that was some excellent car control and a small slither of luck there for Largo.
My goodness, for Manu, it really is scary after dark in McPhillamy Park. Meanwhile, going through the chase. Oh, he looked so much stronger mid-corner. And once again, he just didn't have anywhere to go because Tolanen was right on the line that he was taking.
Yeah, a little wiggle there from Largo. Maybe just signalling to Tolanen and say, okay, I'm really annoyed now. Can you be nice to me and let me go? And Tolanen saying, yeah, no thanks. Sorry. Do you know what this reminds you? As you know, Joe, I'm a huge motorcycle racing fan. This is very much the Ducati principle in MotoGP, where the Ducati is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line and not so great in the corners. And there's certain circuits where you have guys that are faster on lap time, but they just cannot get past the big Ducati because it's got the boogie on the straight.
Rinne got right up to the rear wing of Cocci coming up to Griffin's Bend. Oh, but he's got a great run coming out of the cutting. Just isn't able to get side by side through here. 7 laps to go at this point. Look at how tucked up behind he is. They come through McPhillamy Park themselves and into Skyline. Blind crest plunging downhill through this corner, having to get the car wound up at the same time. He is willing to get within inches of the gearbox of Cocci.
Yeah, we're riding on board on the top of the engine cover there. Big twitch for Oskari Rinne, and you just look at the drive that Cocci gets there out of Forest Elbow, and once he gets that drive, Rinne can't really do a great deal about it. Of course, Oskari Rinne running his usual Andre Lotterer helmet, the Porsche factory driver in Formula E and triple Le Mans winner, and you've got to love this, Joe. Andre Lotterer, his daily driver is a 1986 Audi Sport Quattro.
A man of taste.
Mm-hmm.
So Nicola Cocci still holds on, but just by a thread, as Rinne tries to chase him. Let's see if he can get the run off of Hell Corner. This could be one of his best opportunities, because look how tight he is right here. If he gets the run, I think this might be it. Here we go. Does our pole sitter have enough to try and get himself into 4th past Nicola Cocci?
Oh, we're going to find out. Here we go. He's right on the back of Coach's car, they're side by side. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Coach's going to really brave it around the outside. He's going to throw it all in here at the mountain. I think he might get the switch back now for the cutting, and he does. So Rinner's so desperately close, and oh, Joe, I don't think you can get any closer and not get by.
I can't believe he successfully defended around the outside of Griffin's. It is not often you can be on the outside of that off-camber corner and hold on. But still valuable info for Scotty Rinne to be able to try and fight him next time. He's got a few more laps to try and make it stick, and I'm sure he's tucking that away in his brain to maybe give him a little bit of an edge later. Here we go, down the hill. Can he finally get himself another run, maybe onto Conrad? He's tighter down to the inside. It looks a little far away, though.
I feel like after the race, Manu Rio Largo and Ascari Rinne are going to have a high drag or high downforce support group, because this must be so frustrating. Just going, oh, just let me by, please. But it's been a great lesson in how to, in the differences in setting up the car for each circuit. And Bathurst is such a unique setup as well, and of course there's so much you can play with in this car as well, with the gearing, the aero, all kinds of stuff that's just double Dutch to me. Our very own Aussie Puaka has tried to explain to me, but I've fallen asleep every time.
Oscar, you have to remember that as he gets a better run, a slip up from Kochi finally opens the door. Rinne, though, remember, he's slower in a straight line, so is he going to have to shut it? He leaves it open. Maybe he's going to try the outside like he saw Kochi do last time. Maybe he feels confidence that he can repeat the feat. He's deeper on the brakes. He goes around the outside, and he does hold on to it. Finally, Ascari Rinne, after many laps, gets the job done with a little bit of help from Kochi slipping up.
Very impressive as well. The Ascari Rinne, don't forget, is driving a pretty wounded Lotus 79 as well.
We need to go to Manu. Manu managed to get side by side coming out of the cutting. He is going to try and dare to do it. As they climb up the hill, he sneaks by. Both of our drivers that have been fighting this one for lap after lap have finally made it stick on the same lap. And Tolinen, if we can get a replay, just the tiniest bits of wheel spin coming out of the cutting was all that Manu needed.
Wow. Goodness me, yeah, he caught the exit from the cutting, and might have even been a little bit of tyre-to-tyre contact there, not enough to put them in the wall, but wow, what first-class motor racing. But little bit of a mistake there from Manu, and of course we know that Jukka Tolinen has a rocket in a straight line, and you can see Manu trying to break the toe, weaving around once, twice, that's 3 times a lady, so that's all you really want to try and do on the straight. And look at the overrun here. Goodness me, is this Talladega or Bathurst we're watching here, Joe?
Well, for Tolinen, it feels more like like Talladega here. And they're coming down to 4 to go as they cross the line. Yeah, I mean, he was so far back. Largo is going to have to play some serious defense to retain this 6th position. Here coming off of L corner, he's much closer. So as we ride on board with Tolinen, at one point, from what I could see, 5 miles an hour quicker down the straight than Rio Largo. Here we go, up and over the crest, looking for the braking. Manu defends briefly, and thankfully he's saved by the braking into Griffin's Bend. Another big slide. Somehow he keeps it from slamming into the outside wall.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Manu Rio Largo absolutely throwing everything at this race. This is brilliant. Manu, you are welcome back anytime here in the Lotus 79 Grand Prix series. Absolutely superb. And Joe, you mentioned off mic that this livery, although it's a very modern livery, it looks fantastic around all the classic cars.
I am a big fan. I really do like. Of course, I'm a sucker for the combination of teal and black on a car as they come down into Forest Elbow. As this has been happening, we don't need to go there because nothing dramatic has evolved. But Gernot Frische is still chipping away at Tomasz Simon. I think he's going to run out of laps, though, to make a serious attempt on Tomasz, but it's down to 2.9, sometimes 2.7 seconds between P1 and P2. Look at this, my goodness. Manu is absolutely diving across the track at times to break the slipstream. Tolanen coming in quick, and not quick enough, though.
Wow, this is tense here in this Lotus 79 Grand Prix series here at Mount Panorama. And I have to say, Joe, Manu Ray Largo, he's on the kind of limit of how much you can move on the straight, but he is getting it done before they get into the braking zone, to be fair.
Ooh, side by side, that went on for a couple corners. The Turk is going to come out ahead of Serrois. That all kicked off when the Turk was a little slow coming out of Forest Elbow. But let's keep with it as, oh no, it's going to be a bad run from Serrois. And unfortunately, he's going to fall behind. As that happened, I just saw Trangere took a tow to pit lane. I think he must have fallen into the wall somewhere. We'll check that in a second. As nope, looks like Serrois is not going to be able to try and make that stick. So what happened? Oh, Trangere got some big help. Dustin Gilliland, unfortunately. And this will be netcode, unfortunately, between the pair of them coming into the chase. Big netcode, just really unfortunate.
Oh, that's some big digital aero wake there.
Gilliland is limping too. I think the shunt to the side of his car damaged his suspension. He's just trying to take it to the finish, as Trangere didn't have the same sort of luck and is trying to take whatever repairs he can before we get to the checkered flag. Back up to Freesia. It is down once again. Freesia's fastest lap last time by a 50.5. This time it is a 50.3. He picks up the pace yet again. It's down to 2.6. Compare that to the 50.5 from Shimon. Again, the big question mark over everyone's head. Is Shimon pacing himself, or is this genuine and Freesia is gaining as both are pushing?
Well, I think I think the pace is genuine, but I think Simone will be comfortable with that. I don't think a man of his ice-cool temperament will be too concerned. It's about 1.3 seconds per lap that Freesia would have to gain, and as we've seen, passing's taken multiple laps to even get close to making a move, and when the move does come, you have to go for it. So I think that Thomas Simon will be quite comfortable right now, unless he makes an error. But we'll see. Meanwhile, Jukka Tolonen and Manu Ray Largo still just a couple of tenths between them.
In fact, Jukka just got the spot back.
Oh,
and I'm trying to figure out where that happened. Looks like it was down Conrad, where he's been just an absolute streak, and he used it to great effect, managed to go by on the straight. So not sure that we'll really have a replay on that one, but back to where we were before for poor Manu Ray Largo, where he's got to get as good a run as he can. And unfortunately, he has way less laps to do it now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's certainly a lot less likely he's going to get that same opportunity again. And even there, Jukka Tolonen gets a big moment when he just asks for the power. And isn't that interesting there for Jukka Tolonen? He's thinking, okay, I wasn't going to do that, but you set the precedent now, so I'll have a good old beef on the straight as well.
And it's just enough that, as we watch from the helmet of Manu, he can't do it there. Also, we had a mistake from Gernot Freesia. The gap has gone back up, and Bycroft is now on him. So he's got to switch from attack to defense.
And we know that Bycroft's got a bit of a bullet in the straight line as well. We know he's got a bit of an Indy setup, a little bit lower drag than Gernot Freesia, but Gernot gets it back over the mountain most of the time, but still holding strong, and it looks like Tamer Simone is going to be safe for the lead, all being well. But Gernot Freesia, he's got big company.
Let's have a replay here of Sanchez, whose incident started in front of him, actually. If we watch De Turk and Serrois, yeah, watch this, side by side. De Turk's going to absolutely #send it. Unfortunately, it doesn't go well for him, and that trickles down to Sanchez. Here it is, right here into the chase.
Oh, big lunge.
Yeah, and then as he collects it, there's Sanchez. Sanchez has to avoid, and he comes out the worst of it.
tell you what, he did very, very well to keep that out the wall, but really unlucky there for Sanchez. Nothing he could do. What a pity there for Sanchez. Some very interesting graphics on this particular car. Looks like Frogger.
Yeah, that's Pepe, I believe, for those who know their memes. And the one on the side looks appropriate for what just happened, with tears coming out of the eyes, unfortunately. Meanwhile, white flag is it coming out? No, it has been out. And now the checkers are out for Tomasz Simon, who wins today here at Bathurst with a handy gap over Gernot Frische, who does at least claim second over Steve Bycroft.
What a race here, and Oskari Rune, considering, although he'll be kicking himself over that mistake, but as an exercise in damage limitation, Joe, that was a masterclass.
Olargo could have one last go at things. He's trying to get this one off the corner, and no, he's going to be denied. Tolinen will take 6. Olargo settles for 7th. Behind them, everybody split apart. Seppa 8th and Serwa 9th. But we do have a bit of a fight that's been on and off. We just haven't been able to catch it because there's been great fights up front. Granberg and Mudrack have been swapping back and forth. Martin currently ahead of the 13. And I don't think Joseph's going to have anything in it. So hopping over from the Nissans, unfortunately only going to net him a 14th place here for Joseph Mudrack, but still not a bad showing.
Definitely not. I think if you can just get the car to the finish, and a car that's as difficult to drive as this, on a circuit as difficult as this, is mighty impressive in itself. But to get to the finish and get a good score in a field as competitive as we have here, mighty impressive indeed.
That will take us to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Bathurst. We just watched a very good race amongst our mid-pack drivers here for the Sunday Grand Prix series. But Tomasz Simon, a little bit of luck helped him out. He qualified second. He was chasing Rinne, and an accident for Rinne handed him the lead. He took it with both hands and led it to the finish over Gernot Frische. A little bit of threat from behind up to the checkered flag, but he held it off well. Frische taking second place and valuable points to at least keep him in the hunt was Steve Bycroft as well, behind them finishing third. Rinna, after his wreck, he gained his way back to fourth, but that's as much as he could do with the damaged car. Apparently, he had suspension damage that he reported after the race. Nicola Kochi took P5, and Jukka Tolinen. This is a man that is not afraid to trim out the car, and he wound up sixth because of it. Manu Ray Olargo was gotta be frustrated all day because of that. He finished seventh. Severi Seppa was eighth, and David Serwa was ninth, with Michael de Turk rounding out your top 10.
Finishing 11th today was Xavier Sanchez, followed by Andreas Henkel, Martin Granberg, Joseph Mudrak, and Miguel Alcalde. Dustin Gilland involved in a little bit of a tangle with Ovi Trengrade coming down to the chase, but managed to finish 16th, with Ovi Trengrade in 17th, Juan Bustamante 18th, Alexis Tapio Vico 19th, and Timothy Reed rounding out the top 20.
Everybody from there on, fortunately, was a DNF today, which you come to expect here at the mountain. Freesia, though, pulling home a second place despite qualifying in fourth. Gernot, looked like you had a pretty good start today, and then from there, a little bit of luck bumping you up one position. What are your thoughts?
Hi, Sean. I think that's exactly the summary of the race for me. I did very well at the start. I had a setup with very good top speed. So yeah, I tried to stay in the draft as long as possible, but Oskari and Tamas were just too fast for me. So in the end, I was lucky to get home in second place.
We were just talking about how this track gobbles up drivers. So were you 100% there at the end as you made little gains on Shimon?
Yeah, I was pushing all the time. Actually, I tried to close the gap somehow, because on some laps I thought I may be a little bit quicker than Tamas, and the lap after that he was quicker himself. So yeah, basically he was in control. It seemed like that.
Well, that answers some of our questions right there. So still a second place, even it's going to lose you a little bit on our championship leader. That's got to be a good sign as we start to get into the drop weeks now in the final 4 weeks.
On the other hand, I think that's one of my best finishes this season. So I'm doing pretty well, but I'm usually coming home in third or something like that. So second place is not too bad.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you as we head off to Barber next week, and congratulations on a podium.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Huge congrats to Tamas again, and to Steve as well, and bad luck for Oskari. See you.
Well, speaking of the man with bad luck, Peter has caught up with Oskari Rinna to see what he thinks about what went wrong.
Oskari, welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel commentary box. It started off so well, you were clearing off there, laying down some real pace, but just give us the story of your race.
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, the start was pretty bad again, but I was able to keep the first place, and then I just tried to push like hell every lap to break the slipstream to Tamas, and he made a small mistake. I think lap 7 in the first elbow. So then I tried to push even more to actually just break the slipstream to make up 2 freezing gap, so I can take it a bit easier. And had a bad line through the chase, and just went on the high curb, and the car bottomed out. And I was still on the throttle. I didn't back down from it, so there was my mistake there. And yeah. After that, I had a good battle with Nicola, but my left rear suspension was broken, so the car was really hard to drive. But I guess fourth is okay after that.
I think it's mighty impressive. I mean, what handling characteristics was the car throwing at you with that broken suspension? Where were the problems coming? Because Bathurst is a circuit where you need the car absolutely perfect. Just try and give our viewers an impression about the difficulties it gave you.
On the left-hand corners, it understeered a lot. I think the left rear tire was in the air pretty much, because it just understeered so much to the left-handers, and in right-handers it was the opposite, so that it was just snap out really randomly. So it was really hard. I mean, the steering was straight, but yeah, the left rear suspension took some damage there, so it was really hard to drive. Yeah, in Forest Elbow, like, it's really bumpy downhill, and it understeers, and the bumping was so bad. It's just a few times I was so close, just going straight to the wall. But yeah, I'm somehow managed to keep it on track.
Well, you did a mighty job, Oscar. Very impressive indeed. Before we let you go, who would you like to say hello to here on the Global SimRacing Channel?
You guys, great broadcast again. Probably, of course, I haven't watched it yet, but I would guess so. And top 3, congratulations congratulations for doing such a good job. And Thomas was really quick again. I think I had the face to win, but you should keep it off the walls before thinking about that. So I don't know, bit disappointed, but thank you guys for the broadcast. Thanks.
And that was our 4th place finisher. Meanwhile, behind him, finishing 6th, but giving us a lot of action today, was Jukka Tolan. And Jukka, it almost looked like if you could have, you would have unscrewed the wings off the car and just sent it.
Yeah, I was running pretty low downforce today, so I was struggling on the mountain parts, but then I was able to go away on the straight. So yeah, it worked today pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, describe to us what it was like trying to drive the car across the mountain. We were pretty stunned at how quick you were compared to Manu. I mean, that had to have made it quite frightening.
Yeah, well, I must say I'm sweating like crazy right now. So yeah, there was lots of pressure. I think he was under a second all the race after I got past him first time. So yes, definitely lots of fun and lots of pressure, and happy I made it eventually. So yeah.
Now, I don't think you'll have quite the same ability next week when we head off to Barber, which is a very twisty track. Are you going to crank the wing back up, or are you still going to try and get it trimmed out?
Probably yes. I don't even own that track yet, so I don't know much about that track, but let's see. I'm probably going to attend also next week, so let's see what I can get out of it.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Again, congratulations on a well-earned 6, and hope to see you in Alabama.
Yep, thanks.
As Jukka Tolan, and 6th place driver. Finally, P5, another one that was in a bit of a tussle for much of the way. Peter's caught up with Nicola Kochi.
Nico, welcome to the GSRC commentary box. That was a heck of a race for us in the commentary box to watch here at Mount Panorama today. How did you find it out there on circuit?
Hi guys, that was an odd race, let me tell you. I am sweating like I run a marathon right now, but it's normal for this kind of car, and that's why I like it. But it was very tough racing. I made a major mistake being too aggressive on the dipper, and that completely destroyed my my front wing. And I was running very low top speed and not much front grip. So I had to manage, not a limping car, but almost. And at the same time, battling somebody called Oscar Irene. So that wasn't very, very, very easy at all.
It certainly looked pretty crazy out there, Nico. I mean, tell us just a little bit about that battle with Oscari, because you guys were taking some lines that I don't think us mere mortals could even consider.
Yeah, we were racing very different setups. I'm sure about that. I was lower on downforce. Oscari was higher, a lot higher. And when we were going to the mountain section, he was gaining a lot on me there. I mean a lot, and I was only able to match him because I was slightly faster on the top speed. But every lap that I run, I damaged more my front wing, and I was getting lower and lower top speed. So much so that on the last few laps we had basically same top speed, more or less. And I made a half a mistake on T1. I don't remember the number of the lap, but just half a mistake. I just clipped the curb too much, and that was enough for inviting him for an attacking from the outside. And it's very dangerous there to keep being aggressive. So I just like thought the bet out of it, and I think he deserved the spot anyway.
Well, it was certainly an absolute pleasure for us to call the action, Nico, and I hope you enjoy watching it back later on the broadcast. Thanks so much for coming in to chat to us, and we'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you, guys. See you on track. Bye.
That was Nicola Cocci, our 5th place finisher here today at Bathurst, and that's going to round out our interviews. So before we go, we want to give a big thanks to the Sunday Grand Prix Series, the Lotus 79 community, for bringing us back for another season of coverage. As we said, we love covering our vintage series, and make sure that you tune into our social media on Monday because we'll have a big announcement. Also, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. You can see her Bandcamp there at the bottom. Thanks to the team today, Peter, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. But if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store. It's simply gsrc.storenvy.com. And if you don't want to type that in, we got a link in the description below. While you're down there, subscribe to our YouTube channel just by clicking that big red subscribe button, and you won't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race at Barber Motorsports Park, one of my favorites, that'll be Sunday, February 14th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, including coming up later today, if, well, you're not a fan of football. The PRL NASCAR Cup Series is coming up at Kentucky at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, so tune into that if you're not interested in the pigskin. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.